Hello, remote learners. Mrs. Murphy here. I've got a little project and I wanted to share it with you. I thought it might be kind of fun for you to do at home, and this stuff that you're going to need, the supplies you're going to need, you should probably have them at home, and it should be easy to kind of do this. So I'm going to start by giving you a list of supplies. I'll show you what we're going to make. We're going to make these little acorns. And this color was put on by a printing process that I'm going to share with you. It's a tin foil printing process. So the first supply you're going to need is some tin foil. Any kind is fine. You're going to want to rip off a piece maybe about this big, probably about the size of whatever white paper, which is your next supply, whatever white paper you have. So about that same size, maybe a little bit bigger is good, okay? So far we need tin foil, white paper. You're going to need a Sharpie, black Sharpie, any Sharpie would be fine, just so that it will show up on the tin foil. You're going to need a piece of brown construction paper for that cap, this part. And then you're going to need whatever colors you want to make your acorn. You want them to be washable markers. That's the important part of this printing process because we're printing with water. So if you have a spray bottle, that's your last supply that you need is a spray bottle of water. But a sponge would also work, a paper towel that's been dampened. I'll refer to that part when we get to the printing process. So once you've gathered up your supplies, and you guys can pause this video to go grab stuff, that's fine. Once you have everything that you need, the first step is that you're going to take your white paper, you're going to lay it onto your tin foil, and you're going to trace around that white paper, basically giving yourself an idea of where you're going to add the color. So trace it all the way around, and then remove your white paper and set it aside. Once you've done that, now comes the fun part. Well, there's lots of fun parts, but this is the first one. So you get to start adding your color inside of that square. You see it's about the same size as my paper. You're going to add your colors in there. So I chose Crayola washable markers to use. I'm kind of on this sort of unicorn color kick. So I picked these cool colors to use. You can pick whatever colors are useful for you that you have handy. For my example one, I did sort of more fall type colors, okay, that I'm seeing in those trees right now. But you pick whatever colors you want to use. So you're going to lay those down on your, in that little window that you've created, and you want to fill the whole thing up with color. Okay, once your tin foil is all filled with color like this, you're going to take your white paper and your spray bottle or sponge or damp paper towel. The idea is to wet your paper, but not to soak your paper. So what we want to do is we want to get it damp enough that when we lay it down and we rub, it'll pick up all that color that we just put down on the tin foil. So that's the printing part. So I'm going to go ahead, and you want to hold your spray bottle kind of out of the way. Now I'm going to take my paper and line it up with that window, and I'm going to rub and rub and rub on the back of my paper. I can't lift this up to show you guys because I got to keep rubbing so that it will absorb all that color. But you want to get all the corners rubbed down. Make sure you rub down on the center of it, all around, applying pressure. Rub, rub, rub. Once you think you've gotten everywhere rubbed down, I'm going to lift you guys up and show you a little bit so you can see that's my paper. And now we get to peel it off for the big reveal. And whoop, got a little stuck there. So this is what my paper came out like. So you're going to get all different types of results, and it sort of ends up like a tie-dye. It looks really nice. You want to put it aside. It's going to need to dry for a little bit. Once it's dry, your next step is going to be to create this sort of acorn shape, which is really just a big U, okay? You want to draw that U out on your paper, on your acorn, and then you're going to cut it out. Once you've cut it out, you're going to create your acorn cap with that brown piece of paper. Mine got a little wet under my print over here. I'm going to put my print aside. So this is the brown paper that I'm using. So again, you could start with a U shape. You want to line it up a little bit with your acorn once it's cut out. I made my cap a little bit wider than my acorn, but you can line up your paper to get an idea. Okay, so my print is still a little wet, but it's drying. So on the back of my print, I've drawn that bottom of the acorn shape. So it's basically like a U with a little bit of a outdent like that. And then it comes back up to here. So I'm going to go ahead and let that dry further, but this will give me an idea of where I want my cap to go. So I'm going to cut my paper across the top. And actually, mine's dry enough now that I can trim it, but you guys might want to wait until it's completely dry to do this step of drawing the acorn bottom and then cutting it out. That way, if you needed to erase, you can erase it without it like ripping your paper. Sometimes the paper is a little bit more fragile when it's wet than when it's dry. So I've got my acorn shape, you guys can see, with my pretty colors on there. And now I'm going to line it up with my brown paper. And I want to kind of eyeball like how far out I want my cap to go. And I'm going to make some marks. I just wanted to overhang my acorn a little bit. So I'm going to make just a couple of marks. I apologize, you guys are going to need a glue stick or some kind of white glue is fine. Any kind of glue that you can have so you can attach your acorn cap to your acorn itself. So I'm going to add a little stem onto my cap. You guys can make your cap as big or as small as you want, whatever you guys have handy to work with. And then I'm going to add some details. You can add some lines on there to make it look like the top of an acorn shell. You can add different lines to practice what lines you know. Like on this one, I did all sorts of lines. We've got zigzag, bump lines, castle lines, wavy lines. On this one, I think I'm going to do it a little bit differently and make it look a little bit more authentic, like a real acorn. So I'm using that sort of bumpy or scaly line where you go bump, bump, bump across your paper. So it looks a little something like this when I'm done. So like it would be the same type of line that I would use if I was making like scales on a fish or on a mermaid tail. I would use a line like that. Now you're going to carefully cut. I may have forgot to tell you guys to get scissors too. Sorry. I should have made a list and read it first. So scissors and glue you will also need to attach your cap to the base of your acorn. So now I've got these two parts and we got to make them fit together. My paper is still a little bit wet, but I'm just going to grab a glue stick. You guys will want to wait till yours is totally dry to attach the two pieces, but for the sake of the video, I'm just going to go ahead and attach mine now. I like to put glue on both things that I'm gluing together. So I've put glue here and I have put glue on the back of my acorn. So that way I know it'll be nice and secure. And I'm going to rub it down and here's my acorn. So you guys can go on to make a little face on yours if you want to, or you can leave it like this. That's entirely up to you. I thought the faces were kind of fun and silly, and I like fun and silly. So I think I'm going to add another one to this guy here. He's going to look a little bit worried. It's fun to see what kind of emotions you can get on yours. So this one's a little bit worried. So we've got our two acorns. So you guys can make these at home. It's a fun little fall activity, and that printing process, you can use that for anything. So I hope you had fun, and if you want to share with me the things that you created, feel free to email them to me. I would love to see them. And hopefully we'll all be back together in the art room soon. I miss you very much. Take care. Bye.